first started thinking about Shelter in 2008. It was during my first year of marriage, and I'd been thinking a lot about marriage and what it means to be married and all this other stuff. And at the time in my life that I was writing the script, things were going really well. You know, Shotgun Stories had come out and people didn't hate it, which was nice. And I was starting to get some more professional work, you know, writing and stuff. I was married, you know, I was in love, like, which I still am. And life was really good, but I had this overwhelming sense that, like, the world outside of my world was in for something, you know, like something bad was on the horizon.
I think that's the thing about the character, is I think people can identify with what he's going through, because it's not like, it's just somebody who feels like something wrong, something bad's gonna happen. Who doesn't feel that way, you know? I look at it more as a fable.
For me, I started it with, it's a love story. So these two people have to be in love, because there's so much bad stuff that happens that at the end, you know, they are still together. They're on the same team. So it's a love story. That's where I start.
You know, I feel like there's an event that's happening to the protagonist of the piece, Curtis. And everyone is being, you know, sucked into this vortex of this event. We don't know what it is exactly, but something is changing in him. And everyone from his wife and daughter to myself to the boys around him is noticing a change, and we're also changed because of this.
Mike Shannon was the first guy who read the script, the first person who really read the script. I sent it to him and he sent me a text. He was like, "This is amazing." And it was kind of the first person to have a reaction to the script. And it was nice that Mike was the first one to react that way.
I mean, he would call me and talk about, like, when he showed the script to people and the reactions. He got a lot of notes. People wanted different things to happen, but he just felt like they didn't get it. So I'm glad. I think he's actually going to do a version of it that's pretty close to what he originally wrote.
Yeah, working with Michael's, I mean, he's maybe, I don't know that anybody better than our age group out there. I mean, he's a tremendous actor. I think this is the fifth thing that we've done together. I jumped at the opportunity to work with him. We just came off this Boardwalk Scorsese project, like we wrapped 3 weeks ago. We both jumped into this. He's just a fine actor, man. They don't come any better.
Okay, the reason I'm doing this movie, well, there's two things. But the main reason is Jeff Nichols. I really believe in him. I believe that he is going to be, and he is and will continue to be an important filmmaker. And he's going to be making movies that I want to be involved in, and that probably the kind of films that started me wanting to be an actor.
Luckily, I think at times I was able to step back and let very talented people do their work. We were rushed, always. Like, always there was time pressure. But this crew was the most amazing crew imaginable. And, like, despite the fact that we were asking them to literally pull off miracles every single day, like, you'd turn around and people would be smiling and less about being like happy and joking and stuff, because it wasn't like that. It was a real serious set, but it was like everybody was intensely focused on trying to make this film the right way. I don't know, it's like a huge gift for a director, like to have a crew that isn't just worried about their department. They're worried about the quality of the overall film. It's hard to explain if you haven't been in the middle of it, but it's pretty amazing.
We had a crew come in and build it out, and then we came in and pretty much skinned all the walls, dressed the whole shelter out. We did a faux wall that had a big hole in it that was made out of different sheets of styrofoam, and then we sawzawed those all out, and then pretty much just coated it with mud and painted it out, you know. And it's fun to do. It takes a while to get it all there. You know, we were on this thing for about 2 weeks after they built it out, you know. So.
To start the exterior of the shelter, we had to first go in and dig our hole, and then kind of put in our support system in the ground to our fake staircase that was leading down to the shelter, and then come back in and mound it up and landscape it so it looked like it had existed there for quite a period of time. And then the next step was to come in and dig a hole the size of a swimming pool to lower the container in the ground so that we could combine the two sections of the shelter together.
When was it like officially ready to go?
Last night at about 3 in the morning.
Excellent.
That's the way it works, right?
Having written Take Shelter, I knew that there would be a huge visual effects component, and I knew how to do pretty much everything other than that. And luckily, my agent at the time, Brian Kavanaugh Jones, who's actually an executive producer on the film, he hooked me up with the Strauss brothers and their company Hydraulics. So we paired with them as executive producers, and they came on board way upstream and were really big creative partners in helping work out the details of these effect sequences. One of the biggest sequences of the film involves being inside a house and the perspective of being a house being caught up in a tornado from the inside of a house. So that entire shot where you see the furniture lift off the ground is 100% CGI. What we provided them were basically plates. So we framed the shot where Mike Shannon's character Curtis walks in to retrieve his daughter, and then he walks out of frame, and then we locked the camera down and we just rolled a couple of frames, and we would take each piece of furniture in the room out one piece at a time until there was no furniture left. And as we pulled pieces of furniture out, Hydraulics had sent a visual effects supervisor to set. He would take photographs around these pieces of furniture. So at the end of the day, they would have 360-degree views of all of this furniture. And it was pretty remarkable, I think, how they were able to rebuild that entire room from CGI scratch, basically. Of course, the amount of man hours, I can't even imagine that went into it. Someone at Hydraulics told me that they hadn't done that much work on a single shot since Avatar. So there again, it's just a miracle that we even have it in a film like this. Make a film that is 90% indie film and looks that way and feels that way, and then you have this 10% that is an effects element, and it fits, it works in my opinion, and all that credit goes to Hydraulics.
What do you think of Ohio? What are your impressions of this area? Have you been in this area of the country before?
I had never been here before. I love Ohio. Actually, when I was landing in an airplane, I looked out and I saw so much green and a lot of water. There's a lot more lakes than I expected. For some reason I thought it would just be flat brown land. But it's really beautiful and everyone's been really nice.
The weather here is amazing. And not just like nice, mild summers, but it's like being so close to the lake, they have these weather cells that just like pop up and like pass through. So we'd be filming and like giant clouds would just like roll through, and it'd be this big storm. It'd last about 20 minutes and then it'd be gone and go back to shooting. It's really weird, and oddly enough really appropriate for this particular story.
I want to start at the beginning. This film is written and directed by Jeff Nichols, who made Shotgun Stories, which you were also in. When did he come to you and tell you he was making this film, and when did he actually say, by the way, I want you to be the lead?
He gave me the script originally just to read, to get my input. He wasn't sure who he wanted to play Curtis. And it was very personal script for him, personal story, and he just wanted the first person who looked at it to be a friend. And I read it, and I loved it, and I told him so. But we actually didn't talk about it for a while. And then when he did call about it, it was very out of the blue and very short notice. He said, I've got the financing, and it's gonna happen like in a couple of months. And do you wanna do it? And I said, well, sure. I think honestly, part of the problem was maybe he knew he wanted to have a little bit bigger budget than he had, because Shotgun Stories cost about $5. And he wanted more than $5 for the second film. And he wasn't sure that I might be able to get 10 or 20, but maybe not everything. But I guess I caught up, and it all worked out.
Okay, but Jeff is your friend, but you're also an actor, and when you're reading this great script with this great male role, there's no part of you that starts to angle for that job early on?
No, I mean, honestly, it's very intimidating. It's like, well, I love the script, but whoever has to play that part, I don't envy that poor son. That's going to be really difficult.
Curtis?
What?
Did you hear me? You gotta be home, showered, ready to walk out the door by 6 tonight. What's wrong?
Nothing. I just wanted to eat her breakfast. Stop playing with the damn dog.
She's fine down there. She had toast already.
All right.
What?
Hannah, come here, Hannah.
Curtis.
What?
And Shea, tell us how the script first came to you and what attracted you to the role of Dewar.
This time last year, we were coming toward the end of Boardwalk season 1, and we were bottom of the pool spent, man, emotionally. I mean, that's an 8-month heavy grind. And I remember that Jeff said he wanted me to do this, and he had written this thing for Michael and I, and or had us in mind, I think. And I went to Mike and I said, I don't think I can do it, man. I'm spent with, and he said, no, you're coming. You're coming to Cleveland. We're going to do this thing. And I was like, I'm coming. And he said, so you didn't have to talk me into it much, but yeah. So that's just, it kind of was an organic, natural process. You don't pine for the role. You don't, if it fits, and Jeff knows, he's a special guy.
Actually, can I ask about how you two first met? I guess, was it on Tigerland? And did you find that you brought that natural chemistry and friendship to your roles in this film?
We met at Camp Blanding, because we all did this boot camp together for Tigerland. So we got to know each other, everybody got to know each other pretty quick doing that. But yeah, I think it was incredibly important. I can't imagine, creating these kind of relationships, particularly in this environment, a low-budget film where everything goes by so quickly. I mean, if we didn't have the fact that we had that going into it, just made it a whole lot easier, because there wasn't any time to, go hang out, go for walks together. We just had to show up and figure it out.
You normally go for walks together?
Yeah, walks in the woods.
You couldn't do a lot of research on this particular film. You had to just drop in, because, he couldn't be out ahead of him and know too much about what was going on with him as Curtis. These symptoms, and he had to just be in the moment, and I was the same way. I wanted to keep it really simple with Dewar, and so it helped immensely, to walk on there and just, we have a second hand anyway, and it's So yeah, it helped out a lot, I think.
And this is obviously heavy material. Was it a difficult shoot, or were you able to have some fun?
You know, it was really fun shooting that scene in the driveway. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
You got a good life, Curtis. I'm serious. I think that's the best compliment you can give a man. Take a look at his life and say, that's good. That guy's doing something right.
Well, it ain't always so easy.
Hell, I know that. Oh, shit, I gotta go.
Remember that dog? They had some wild dog on a rope in the yard next door.
Yeah.
And we kept trying to do that damn scene, and that dog would not shut up. And the guy who owned the house had like a gun or something. And like anybody who walked in his yard, they were throwing like sandwiches at the dog.
And Michael and I were drinking just a little bit to get in there, to get the feel. And I think it was my kind of emotional scene. It was really about, about what the crux of who we are, and the love that they have for each other. And this, like you said, this dog, every time I would go to, really say, roof, 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 and you can't use the take at all. So we're on, but we had to get the shot. There was no going back, there's no, So the guy somebody comes up with this ingenious plan to make peanut butter sandwiches. Am I right about that? Yeah. So I'm staying in it, I'm trying to stay in, and he's being amazing, and we're in the thing, and they go, okay, listen, we're gonna run over, we're gonna throw the dog a sandwich. And then start, you guys be ready.
So that might have been the most difficult scene to shoot logistically with the dog. What was the most difficult scene for each of you? I guess I would say from an emotional place.
Well, that Lions Club scene was...
I told people what you've been doing.
I know.
You cut me loose. Everything we've been through.
I know. I'm sorry.
Ain't fucking sorry.
All right.
Ain't fucking sorry. You sorry you wouldn't have cut me loose? We're fucking friends. That's how you treat friends.
God damn it.
Stop it, Stuart!
Fuck! I said yeah! God damn it! You think I'm crazy? Huh? Is that what he told you?
Yeah, none of those people there knew what was gonna happen. They like, come have some fish, be in the movie.
Yeah, when we started, we probably had 20 little children in there. I mean, I knew what was coming. Well, they had no idea. I knew this thing was going to get heavy, and and it did. And it was a palpable reaction when he finally. We went at it. He flipped the table, and it was. He and I have a trust, and that's where you have a love and trust, and you can go anywhere. You know what I mean, as actors. And so we knew we were going to. I said, bring it, whatever we need to do, and he did. The first take was. People, had to leave. It was that intense.
Were they actors, extras, or they were locals?
Yeah, kind of locals. I mean, this is a community that doesn't see a lot of film production. Any film production. I think there was a shock that we were making film there, but they were good sports about it.
Now, I'm curious, once again, you have some very difficult moments in this film. Were you able to leave it at the end of the day, or are you guys the kind of actors that sort of take your characters home with you?
I'm too tired at the end of the day, honestly. I mean, for me, it's like you save your energy. It's like, those video games where the guys can shoot big energy balls out of their hands, like Mortal Kombat and shit like that. So it's like, that's what it is. Like, you save it and you shoot it out and it's gone, and then you're just tired. I mean, it's not like I would go home and be like, oh, there's a damn storm coming.
talk about the other casting in the film, specifically the amazing Jessica Chastain.
Yeah.
I mean, I know she's in like 9 movies this year, but when you shot this, she was completely unproven on film. Did you have any say in the casting, and what was it like?
I was against it. I didn't have any say in it. We showed up, and you know, that's very difficult, again, to create that relationship. You know, you just show up, you're supposed to be husband and wife, and you have a child and all this, but she's just got such a big heart, you know, and she just radiates this warmth and generosity of her spirit, you know, and totally vulnerable all the time. There's no firewall there, you know, she's just, you know, that's the way she lives. So I think it translates into her work.
You gonna leave me?
You flinched when I touched your hand this morning.
I'm sorry.
I was in one of your dreams.
Yeah.
Can you deal with that?
Yeah.
I love her character in this film because she's not what you would typically see as the wife. She obviously loves you, and she pretty much kind of lets you get away with a lot that you might not expect.
Yeah, she was conscientious of that, you know, she thought about that a lot, and like specifically what Samantha wanted or needed or was asking for in every scene was very different, you know. And Jeff didn't want it to be that way either, you know. And Jeff really made this film about marriage. You know, it's not just about Curtis. Because if Curtis just lived alone in an apartment complex somewhere, it wouldn't really be much of a movie. It would just be.
I read a great, actually, Jeff said it, that anxiety is born out of having something to lose.
Exactly, yeah.
I thought that was beautiful and terrifying.
Yeah, he's smart fellow.
It's a very strange situation this movie puts you in, because in a way you're kind of rooting for Curtis to be right, because you don't want him to be insane, which means you're sort of rooting for this apocalypse. Did you consider that when you were playing this role?
To me, the visions and what Curtis is experiencing is, I find it very poetic. It's not so much like a literal examination of deterioration or mental illness or these things. It's just more, to me, it's like Jeff wrote a poem about something that was happening to him, and it's this movie, you know, and that it doesn't even really matter at the end of the day whether he's right or not. That's not the point. The point is how do you live in this world that is so fragile? How do you cope with that?
If you have a question, feel free to raise your hand. We just have time for a couple right there in the middle.
There are two different levels. There's the dreams he's having, and then the waking visions, you know, or the auditory hallucinations. And I think those auditory hallucinations start when he starts taking the pills, and he finally gets his first good night of sleep, and he thinks that maybe everything's going to be okay. I don't think the point of the ending of the film is to say that Curtis was right and that there's an apocalypse coming. I mean, to me, the experience at the end of the film is seeing Curtis finally sharing this experience with his family. Because the whole movie he's been alone. And he gives up, and he does everything everybody wants him to do. He goes to the psychiatrist, he's willing to go to this hospital. And he's a defeated man, you know. but he's also hopeful because he thinks, well, maybe if I do all these things, then I will be fixed and I will be able to go back to my family. But that's, to me, what's so beautiful about the end of the film is that, you know, anybody in this situation, there's two sides to it. It's like, well, Curtis, you need to do this, this, and this. But there's also, if you love Curtis, if you love me, then you have to understand me, and you can't stuff it away, and it goes away forever. And that's, to me, what the end of the film is about, is that it's an act of love amongst the family. It's the family seeing what Curtis has been struggling with the whole film. Everything is shot on location in Ohio. Like I said, Grafton was the town we were based in. We also went to Elyria, Ohio, Oberlin, Ohio. These are all little towns just outside of Cleveland. You know, the first thing that has to happen is that I have to open that door, and that's about me doing this for them. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like what she says in the movie. This is what it means to love us, is you opening that door. If you don't open that door, then how can we be together anymore? And then it's the yin and the yang of that is the scene at the end where she does see and acknowledge the storm that's coming over the ocean. So it's a simple act of, you know, overcoming this demon that he's been struggling with. I mean, it's ironic because he's put so much work into the shelter, and by the end it really is very functional. You know, they could stay down there for a while, but that's obviously unnecessary if there's not a storm, and obviously not what either Samantha or Hannah want. You know, they want to get out of there.
For me, this was all about really, I guess I told you at the top, going to work back with Michael. I'd forgotten about several things we've even done together. I mean, it's just a natural thing, but I mean, just to be, but the piece always struck me like a, you know, like a shepherd piece, like Lie of the Mind, if you've ever read that, where you find the character at the end, if I remember correctly, and he just says there's a fire in the snow. And I remember when I was younger, when I did the play, and I didn't know how satisfying it was, you know, to not have, especially now we require that in every film that you see. It has to have a beginning, and you know, it has to have answers. And so, to this, I thought this was just a beautiful way to end this, and whatever it is to you, it ends up being.
As much as Jeff wants it, I mean, Jeff really wants the film to be interpreted by whoever sees it. You know, the ending is ambiguous and strange, and it's that way because that's what he wanted.
Before we go, not to, I don't want to embarrass Michael, but I mean, what you all saw, I said this at Sundance, I said, what you saw, what you're seeing, to me, in my opinion, you're seeing like a once-in-a-generational type of actor. He's that good. They don't grow on trees, they don't come around very often. And so you have to really, I think you people really appreciate that, especially from your comments, but he is as good as I've ever been around. And I've been lucky, knock wood, to be around some really good ones, you know, so, you know, I feel just as special sitting up here with him and acting with him as, you know, as you could watching his stuff as well. You know.
Thank you so much for being here, for being a great audience. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I had a dream my friend tried to kill me. It started the same with the storm, and then something happened. He got a pickaxe and came after me.
Have you talked to him since then?
Mm-mm.
What do you think it means? People attacking you in your dreams.
I don't know. It's just part of the storm. It's in the air. Something with the rain. I don't know.
That's not what I was really asking.
Oh, right.
Has anything else happened since we last spoke?
No, I've just been working on the shelter.
You went through with that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk about that. Curtis, if you question these dreams so much, enough to come here, enough to do research, to talk to me, then why build a storm shelter?
Better safe than sorry.
Okay. It's more than that. I'm guessing it's a lot of work, a lot of time and money.
You hear about that train that came off the tracks near Burkesville? Happened last week. This tanker split open and it sent chlorine gas over 10 acres of land. Houses and farms, killed 3 people, trapped a man for 11 hours. His wife died.
What does that mean to you?
That it happens. It can happen.
And why is knowing that important to you?
I don't get it. I mean, what would you do if something like that happened? How long would you last? Could you make it?
If you really believe in these dreams, if you truly believe there's a storm coming, a disaster coming, why not warn people?
Well, I mean, I'll protect my family as best I can. But the rest of the world has to take it up with someone else.
God?
Whoever they want.
You don't believe in God?
I didn't say that. I believe there's an order to things, that nature has a balance.
Would you be calling the storm balance? A way to even things out?
If this storm happens, it's because something's wrong.
You okay?
Yep. Hannah wants you to put her in the tub.
All right. Kyle came by today.
I know, I called him.
You didn't have to do that.
I thought it would help to talk to family.
This is our family. We can handle our own problems.
You said you'd do whatever you had to stay with us. I'm gonna do what I have to.